Hi everyone, it's Victor speaking. And I know I haven't been with you for a while, but I have been extremely busy. And I've got so many video ideas recently which I want to share with you, but yeah, I just need to find some time to record videos. But today I'm here to talk to you about the importance of the ninth house. Now, you might know that I've been teaching astrology for a long time, and this week these questions came up as why the ninth house is so important. We don't really understand what is happening, and ninth house is extremely important, and probably I'm going to be shedding some light of that ninth house meaning which you haven't heard yet. So, by the way, I would like to make an announcement. I am so excited to let you know that I am holding a 3-day online retreat with Marina and Lada from the 25th of September. And we're going to be talking about business, how to set up a business, how to set up your astrology business, when to set that up. I'm also going to be, that's going to be more to do with Marina. So she's going to shed some light onto business opportunities. And I'm going to be talking about the bliss and benefits of Jupiter and Venus in your chart and how you can utilize it in the business world, as well as I'm going to be talking about your life mission. So it's going to be a very interesting retreat, and I hope to see you there. Oh, and of course, Lada is going to be there as well, and she's going to be talking about her personal experiences and what type of hardship she went through, and a little bit a personal advice. I feel like that's also very important. So I'm really looking forward for these 3 days, and I'm hoping to see you, as many of you as possible. But let's dive into this ninth house a little bit. You might have heard that ninth house is your belief system, and this is exactly the energy I want to be focusing on today. The ninth house is the house of belief system. And what does belief system mean? So imagine that you are creating a script in your head. Imagine that you've got some bits and bobs you develop within the first 7 years of your life. You need to know, you need to understand that 75% of your personality is developed in the first 7 years of your life. And this is also can be described from an astrological point of view. Think about it, the first house is the house which is going to be talking about the circumstances you were born into. First house is going to be talking about what type of heroic approach you had to take, for instance, as a little baby. You know, so for instance, maybe if you have got a Aries rising sign, then you need to be you needed to be the hero of the family. So I would say that the first house is going to be something to do with what type of approach you have to take as a child. What happens, and that's going to be the first house, is the what happens to you in the first 1 year of your life. The next year is going to be described by the second house. What does a baby do? A baby is going to start discovering the importance of food. So they want to eat. They start eating whatever they can and they want. Obviously, depending on what the mommy shares with them. And that's going to be happening between the age 1 and 2. The next one is going to be a third house energy when you start making some mental connections. Most probably you start talking. Most probably you're going to start processing information and listening to what others say. And then there's the age when they start repeating things and so forth. And we've got the fourth house, and that's going to be the time when you start building some type of separation anxiety from your mom. And that's going to be somewhere between the age of 3 and 4. And then we've got the fifth house activation, which is going to be something to do with the age of 4 and 5. That's the time when you discover your sexuality, you discover your private parts, and then you even start, playing with it. right? And there's the fifth house, play, enjoyment, fun, and so forth. And then you start taking the life a little bit more serious, which is going to be between the age of 5 and 6. And and that is going to be something to do with knowing that if you want to achieve something, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to work with some type of regulations. You might go to the nursery school, you might go to school, and then it's not like the way how you want it. It's more about how the teachers are speaking to you, when they allow you to stand up in the classroom, and so forth. And then you've got the age of 6 and 7, when you've got the seventh house activation going on. And this is the time when you start pulling your first girlfriends and boyfriends' hair, and you're gonna be crying and all those type of things. And that was the under the horizon type of energy, right? That is below the horizon. So basically, this is your subconscious, because the night is ruled by the moon. And the moon is going to be talking about, in a chart, how you respond to certain situations. And maybe I have mentioned in other videos before that, I don't know, how would moon react in a hostage situation at the bank? And maybe in Mars, we would play a hero. In Capricorn, we would take charges and then let's calm down, everyone, put your head down, and so forth. You know, the reaction you do is going to be a little bit completely different, right? Depending on the sun sign. So, sorry, I'm so hot today. The air is so humid. So when we arrive to the ninth house, which is already on top of the chart, so basically how the world is influencing us, that's what the top of the chart talks about. Now, the ninth house is going to be your belief system. The ninth house is going to be the script you had created when you were still living the bottom of the chart. So I'll give you an example here. Actually, before we do that, what is a script? So a script is going to be an extreme statement. And I've got a few of my scripts I can share, and I don't mind sharing with you. One of my script is that I'm always going to be successful with my work, but never in love. And a script is an extreme statement, which is always a sentence which starts like, I always be betrayed. It's more like a negative connotation to that sentence. I always be betrayed. I'm ugly. I am this and that. Okay, and you need to find the reason for that script. And the reason for that script, the root of the problem, is always going to be the fourth house. So if you combine the fourth and the ninth house, then you can figure out what type of psychological blockages the person might have brought. So I'm going to give you an example here. Imagine that there is a little girl, and the little girl is, let's say, 4 years old, and there is a little brother coming into the picture when she's 4, and the mom is a single mom, and then she is not able to raise the child. So she decides to give the child to one of the grandparents just for a few years so that things can work out. So let's see what type of possibilities we've got. And obviously it's going to depend on your ninth house cusp. What type of belief systems the person might create over this. So one of the belief system maybe is that my brother is better than me. Another one might happen is that I lost a battle against my brother because my mom loves my brother more than me. This is how a child might interpret that. But imagine that 5 years down the line, what's going to happen is that, let's say she's going to a competition. She wants to be a cheerleader. That's her dream. And then we've got And she is only receiving a second position in the gym, in that cheerleader program. And what is going to switch on for her? Basically, this type of fear is going to be switching on, which is all about, oh, I'm only the second best. I already lost a huge, an important battle in my life. So of course I'm going to lose this one as well. So we've got us creating all these type of fears. So maybe you've got the fear of rejection, right? And which might be something to do with the Uranian trait, or the fear of being abandoned. And what you're gonna do if you've got that fear, then you're gonna be leaving a relationship before actually they can leave you, because you don't want to be hurt anymore. So you've got all these fears, and then you're building up the defense mechanism alongside with that. And this is all somehow connected to your ninth house. It's up to you whether you are able to transform that into something more positive, or it's going to be hurting you basically the whole life of yours. And that's going to be something to do with the 12th house, because 12th house is going to be about your subconscious power. So you've got these scripts which you build up in your head, and then eventually you're gonna, the brain is gonna store those sentences and then pull them out of the drawer when something similar happens. So let's just take it further. So of course, you've got this little girl we were talking about. Let's imagine that she is age of 14 and then she starts creating some type of spots on her head. Well, that girl wants to get rid of those. And remember, she's only the second best. She falls in love with someone, so maybe she is gonna become a perfectionist. Or I need to look good because no one is gonna love me anyway. And then eventually we get to the situation where she wants to be in a relationship. She finds a man, but the man has got relationship already. So she would only be the second best in that situation. And basically the guy is gonna just tell you that, oh honey, you need to understand that I only want to be your lover. I've got my wife, you have no chances. And then what switches on again? Oh yeah, I lost that battle against my brother. So this is how these scripts are working within you. And it's extremely important to spot them. And Astrology can help you in there. So if you don't mind, I'm going to be sharing a chart, and then I want to tell you how you might be able to do that. So I'm just going to bring up my own chart because that's when I can really relate to, of course. However, I've done this exercise nowadays with my students as well. And then we were even able to see whether someone received her moments around breastfeeding. And it turned out that the mom has got issues with her own she had issues of breastfeeding the child. And why? Because there was a sister, and the sister got the better bit of the breastfeeding, and then the mommy never had leftover for the second child. And can you imagine what type of rejections, what type of fears you create? Again, I'm just the second best one. Okay, so here you're gonna be looking at your ninth house, and if there is any planet in the ninth house, that already shows you that what type of fear you might be having. And of course, we've got the Saturn there, which is the fear of an old age, for instance. You need to know that my grandma, I was quite young when my grandma passed away. And she was everything to me. And she was the one who raised me. So obviously, you know, oh, everyone is going to leave me at one day. Maybe this is what Saturn indicates. Saturn in ancient astrology does talk about that. Okay, another thing which Saturn might be mentioning is, of course, whatever Saturn rules in the chart. So it rules the 11th house and then it rules the 12th house. So maybe the 12th house energy belongs here, which is all about being abandoned, being lost in a way. Okay, so that's one thing you need to have a look at. And of course, you're going to have to look at the aspects. So even though we've got a great aspect to Venus, a trine, it is still talking about self-worth. Now, the easy aspects are going to be talking about the fact that you are able to overcome that a lot easier than you believe. But we've got a self-worth issue there, which is relating maybe to the body functions, right? Or all the ideas what Venus might be creating there. But you also have a look at the ruler of the 9th house. And that's going to be something to do with Mars. So definitely a body image issue. We've got the conjunction between Sun and Venus and Mars, which talks about the cosmic lover type of energy. So in the first 7 years of the life of this native, suffered loving and caring issues. The cosmic love did not come around. So this is somewhere in between the age of 0 to 1. Being lost, being hurt, being somehow abandoned in a way, right? Pisces is somehow that they leave you. The sign of losses, the sign of endings. My mom left me when I was about 4 months old. And then I was left with my grandmother because she was too young and yeah, so all those type of things. And can you see that Mars has got connections to Jupiter in the 10th house, which is the house of mom. So this is a very simple way to explain how we tend to be building up these scripts in our head, but the root cause could be something to do with the 4th house. So of course, 4th house, you might not want to be analyzing the 4th house meaning, obviously as a family, but you want to look at the house cusp, which is Gemini. So Gemini is the way of thinking, your thoughts, your ideas, and look at it, look at where the ruler is. The ruler is Mercury, which is in Capricorn. So Mercury and Capricorn is gonna be questioning whether you are good enough. Someone who might undermine you, someone who might want to compare you with others. Okay, so this is also something which might have happened at a very early age for the person, somewhere most probably in the first 7 years of their life. So what you need to remember here is that we are creating our fears. We are creating our scripts. And one of the scripts might be is that I'm afraid that people are not going to accept me. The resistance behavior of that is that you're going to become indispensable. You might be afraid of being judged and criticized. Well, you're going to become your own boss so that you can avoid being criticized. You might be afraid of being rejected. That's going to be talking about, or you might become a people pleaser, a good doer, so that you don't get that rejection from others. For instance, a Pisces rising sign is able to do that, right? Quite a lot, because it's the compassionate love. But maybe a Libra rising sign as well, because that has got something to do with people pleasing. So you can create all these type of belief systems, okay, and it has got a huge impact on your entire life. So that's the importance of the 9th house, because we can figure out where your blockages come from. I'm going to tell you one more thing. If the ruler is somewhere at the bottom of the chart, it's definitely the 9th house ruler. It's definitely coming from the first 7 years of your life. And if it's somewhere here, it might be coming from somewhere around the birth. As I said, the rising sign is going to be talking about how you had to cope as a child within the family. And maybe as a child, you had to, this time around, this person had to make plenty of sacrifices. Mars there indicates that somehow it is connected to your survival instincts. You had to fight for love. Oh, I remember my grandfather hated when I went close by to my grandma because I was a mommy's boy. I'm not gonna lie. I was always grabbing her skirt and um, I can't even, it's even too much to tell you, but I was fighting with my grandfather as a little child. As a 2-year-old, I managed to get rid of him because I was sleeping in between them, and I managed to get rid of him so that he was sleeping separate. Um, so, so this is the script. But the other danger is that, and I'm not going to go into that, but just think about it. You are able to engage other people's scripts as well, and those can be those can integrate into your life, and then you might be magnetically attracting those people as well. Magnetically attracting, well, that's not really English anyway. If someone doesn't like it, gonna give me a talk down anyway. So you're gonna be attracting those type of characters into your life because you've got something similar to do with that person. Now, I usually say that astrology is an extremely good problem pinpointing system, but it doesn't necessarily give you solution. Now, in traditional astrology, the 10th house talks about the remedies, what type of remedies you should be taking part, or what type of cure you should be going for. Well, that's typically in horary astrology as well, but the 10th house also, what's the medicine for this problem? Think about it another way, okay? And which is a very, very interesting thought. Obviously, you've got 9th house, which is all about university. Well, 9th house rules the gods. Why is that? Because back in the days, only people could study at the university who had the financials for it or who were really talented, because they were studying to achieve the highest position possible, which is the 10th house. House of achievement, house of recognition, house of rewards. So, and how interesting that the university is called university because it carries the word universe within. So to become one with the universe. So therefore the 9th house talks about your aims, your spiritual aims, how you want to achieve the higher, the divine self of yours. And of course, as a child, you finish the university and then you want to find that job and then you want to become successful, right? And then you're working hard to achieve that success. And then you want to be recognized, or you're going to be working on your long-term plans once you reach the 11th house and so forth. So the houses are built on each other, and it is extremely interesting. Now, maybe, I don't know how long I've been talking. Maybe I'm going to be shedding a little bit of a light on the differences between the 5th and the 8th house. And you might agree and you might not agree. But we've got the 5th house, which is said to be the house of sex in traditional astrology. And 8th house is said to be something to do with death, reincarnation, something to do with your spiritual awakening in a way, but obviously through some type of crisis situations. So basically your transformation, and the transformation is always painful. So I want to tell you why I think the 5th house rules sex and not the 8th. Fifth house is the house of fun, game, romance, taking risks. Now, back in ancient times, having a sexual intercourse with someone was a risk because the kings didn't know whether they were going to pregnate someone or they're going to catch some type of illnesses. So that was quite a dangerous situation for them. So it was a gamble, right? And another explanation to it is that think about it, the fourth house as where you came from, your heritage. Well, everyone came from a same place, and that's going to be the seed of the father. So the fourth house is something to do with the seed of the father. And the next house is obviously you're going to have sexual intercourse to make that seed grow. And of course, you're taking a risk because it happens all in a dark place. It happens in a, it happens during fun. It's something you enjoy. And fifth house talks about enjoyment. It talks about something you like doing. So for me, the fifth house describes the sex a lot more. I'm even going to take it further. In order for you to have a child, and everyone knows that the fifth house rules children, you need to have sex. Of course, this is going to be somehow related to the fifth house then. Now, how does eighth house come into the picture? So it takes 9 months for the baby to grow, and think about it that so it takes 9 months for the baby to grow, and imagine that the fifth house is, and what do you need for delivering the baby? You need, of course, the baby to be delivered, and you need a body for it, and the body is going to be the first house. So look at it this way: the fifth house is the first month of the pregnancy, sixth house is the second, seventh is the third, eighth house is the fourth, then fifth, sixth, 7, 8, and 9. That's where you deliver the baby. And that's what we said, that the first house is something to do with the circumstances you are born into. This is the area of the chart where the body enters the incarnation. So the eighth house is actually the 4th month. Now, I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor, but if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be the time when the gender of the baby starts getting crystal clear. And then somehow the following month, around the 5th month, somewhere in around the 20th week, when you can start seeing the gender of the baby. Correct me if I'm wrong, but something like that. So that's why the 8th house was something like genderism. And I think the reason why modern astrology believes that 8th house talks about sex, because there was some misinterpretation of the previous scripts we received from Carl Jung and so forth. But that's my personal view on it. So please put in the comment box below how you feel about it. I would love to know your opinion. But for me, 8th house is more about the genderism, more about the inner nakedness. 8th house for me is a house of soulmate connections, the bond we make with people when we are able to walk naked in front of others. So, and I'm not talking about the physical nakedness. I'm talking about actually the inner nakedness, because 8th house is something to do with allowing someone to enter me, and then I'm completely trusting the person no matter what. So that's maybe something to do with unprotected sexual intercourse, because I trust the other. Anything to do with the 5th house is more to do with the boyfriend and the girlfriend type of energy. Maybe the first, 6 months or 1 year of your relationship or whatever. The 8th house is when you are able to tear down that insecurity about your body image, about who you are, and then you can become completely naked of in front of others. This is how I see the delineation between the 5th and the 8th house and the 9th and the 12th house. I hope this makes sense, and I hope you enjoy this video. If you would like to, see more videos from me, please subscribe, press like, give a little bit of a love. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the virtual retreat on the 25th, 26th, 27th of September. And I'm also having a Pluto webinar coming up this month on the 23rd. So we're going to be talking about that 8th house and the Plutonian meaning a lot more in depth. Take care, everyone, and have a lovely weekend. It was Viktor speaking. Bye-bye.